Susan. Hi, Susan. I will interview you about your life in Sweden today. Shall we start? Okay. Question 1. What brought you in Sweden?
Well, I was a qualified teacher and I'd been working in the UK for 4 years. And then I thought it would be nice to go and work abroad for a while and teach there. So I applied for some jobs in Spain and Italy and Sweden. And the first job I was offered was by an organization here in Sweden that for adult teaching. So I took it. I thought it would be interesting to live here for a little while. And then I met my husband. And so I'm still here after 30 years.
30 years? I didn't know that. Wow, time flies. Question 2. What do you do for a living?
I'm a trainer in English and communication skills, and I work with professionals in the government sector and in the private sector. And I also teach private students general English.
What attracts you to this job?
I think it's the fact that you meet so many interesting people. You feel that you're helping them, but getting to know them really enriches your life.
Okay. Question 3. What made you surprised in your life in Sweden compared to UK?
Well, when I first came, there were quite a lot of little things that were surprising. The first one was that whenever you visited someone, you had to take your shoes off. And this was considered very rude in England, but here it was rude to keep them on. And I found out that if you wanted to buy wine, you had to go to a very special shop that only sold alcohol. And it was only open at very special times. So you had to work in advance if you wanted some wine. Another thing is if you want to take the bus, you go and stand in a queue, but then when the bus comes, everybody surges on in it, and it's every man for himself. So there's no real queue. That's surprising. And then I think the fact that it gets so dark in December, that in Stockholm it's dark by 3 o'clock, that was a bit of a surprise. And that in the winter it gets so quiet, and there's snow on the streets, nobody talks, it's absolutely silent. And then on the first day of spring, everybody is out, they're at the pavement cafes, they are talking, they are socializing. If you see the steps outside of theatres and museums, you can see lots of people eating their lunches, and then they all go like this. And they look into the sun, and the sun pours down on them.
Question 4. What is a good point of living in Sweden compared to your home country, UK?
I think one thing about Sweden is that it has a very high general standard of living. For example, if the apartments, even in slightly poorer areas, still have quite a high standard. They have triple glazing, they have central heating, fitted kitchens. So generally it's a very good standard. I think Swedes are generally more liberal in their thinking than many other countries. And I think compared to the UK, women have a slightly better position when it comes to pay and career opportunities.
Question 5. What is the similarity between Swedes and UK people?
It's often said that we have the same sense of humour. So I think that's good that we understand each other's humour. And I think the culture is much the same. For example, we share the same idea of what's right and wrong. And both countries are trying to combat climate change. So I think we mostly see the world in the same way. We're both countries that like punctuality. So we turn up on time for meetings.
What is the difference between Swedes and UK people?
I think one big difference between the two countries is that it's the size of the populations. The UK's population is 6 times the size of Sweden's population, which means there's not much overcrowding here. And it means too that there's lots of countryside. So a lot of Swedish people own holiday cottages, and they go there for the weekends and for sometimes the whole summer. So I think this wanting to get back to nature is very much in the Swedish psyche. I think also Swedish people are more tolerant of wrongdoers, where when it comes to giving punishments to criminals, I think the punishments generally are a lot lighter than they are in the UK. So that's another mindset. Income tax is much higher in Sweden than in the UK. I think that's also a bit of a mindset that you should help society by paying your taxes. And then that Swedes are very open about personal things like how much they earn or how old they are. This kind of information, they're very free with it. But on the other hand, if you were to chat to somebody when you're waiting at the bus stop or in a queue at the supermarket, if you just start to talk to them for no reason, they're going to think you're insane or drunk or both, because this is just not the way they do it.
Okay. What kind of things do you bring back from UK?
I usually bring back cosmetics and books because they're certainly cheaper. Sometimes clothes, because there's definitely a greater selection of shops in the UK. And also I need to eat gluten-free food. And the UK has a far bigger range of gluten-free products than they have here in Sweden. And I have to say, even when it comes to restaurants, the UK is way ahead in offering gluten-free menus, for example. So,
has anything changed in your lifestyle or personality since you moved to Sweden?
I think if it comes to personality, I think I have become more tolerant and more liberal over the years that I've been here. It might be a little bit because I've gotten older as well, but certainly I think that the Swedish attitudes have definitely rubbed off on me. When it comes to lifestyle, I think that age is less of a problem in Sweden when it comes to if you want to start doing an activity or taking up a hobby. And there are a lot of adult evening classes that are available. So you can learn languages or oil painting or sailing and navigation, and they're not hugely expensive. I mean, I started dance classes in my 40s, and I have done African dance and salsa and Lindy Hop and jazz and funk and I've just seen an advert for beginners ballet for the over 60s. So maybe I will have to try that in the coming years.
That's fun. Oh, I envy you. Next, what made your work worthwhile?
Yeah, I think it is knowing that you're helping people to, in this case, improve their English. But improving your English means that you are better able to communicate with other people and get your message across and understand their message. And I think that's actually really important, because when you know somebody's language, you know their culture and the way they think and feel. So I think that's fun. And then, as I said, I really, really like to meet other people and see what makes them tick.
Yeah, you help me a lot. Thank you, Sue. And last question. What is your dream in the future?
Well, I would still like to continue working, though maybe perhaps part-time, so that I can spend more time with my family and my granddaughter.
Yes.
And also I like to travel and go to the theatre and so on. So, but I think the main thing for the future is that we all stay healthy.
I want to say thank you, Susan. I appreciate that you teach me in English for 4 years now. I never thought I could continue to learn English for a long time. I never expected. Thanks to your fun lessons, I got motivation to learn English because of you. Thank you for always being nice and encourage me. Thank you, Susan.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure.